Hey guys, it's Jeff from San Diego Seed Company and welcome to the garden. It is September. It's one of the most exciting months of the year. Every month in the garden is exciting, but September is specifically exciting because it's a shoulder season. It's when we're transitioning from warm season to cool season. If you don't know what I'm even talking about, this video is for you. We're going to talk about what to start in September. And we're going to get into all those details, but before, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit the bell so you're notified anytime we put out new content. So let's get into it. Okay, so before we get into what we're going to plant in September, there's a key concept that we want to continue to talk about, and that is the fall effect. Why is this important? As the days get shorter, that means there's less sunlight hitting the leaves of your plants, which means they grow slower. So here's a perfect example. These sunflowers were planted in July, which is after June 21st, which is the date of the year where the days start getting shorter. And so look at them. Not only are they falling over, they're just small. They're not as big as they would have been if we planted them in February or March, got the roots established, and they're growing as the sunlight is getting more and more. They're getting more energy from the sun, getting happier and healthier. Now, why does that matter for seeds? I'm going to tell you why. You just have to remember, if you're starting something in September and October, when you start the seeds and put it out into the garden, it's going to grow so slowly as compared to if you were to wait until the end of December, January, February to put them out. As the days starting to get longer, those plants are going to grow way faster. So some of you might be thinking, perfect, then I'll take the fall off and we'll start planting after Christmas. No, that's not the best way to do it because it shortens your season. So what do we do at San Diego Seed Company? We choose to plant our seeds in September, which is crazy because it's so hot in zone 9 and 10. But the reason we do it is we want those plants to get in the ground and get established so that when the hours of sunlight do get longer, after December 21st, the plants are already established, they're happy, and they will grow super fast, way faster than if you were to wait in December to plant those same plants. So some of you are thinking, what are you even talking about? I'm not even following it. I don't understand. Don't worry, we have a resource for you. This is our growing calendar. It has got literally everything you need to know month by month. If we flip to September, we can look at the bottom here. It's going to say what to plant in September. It's got links to YouTube videos, tips, troubleshooting guide. There is no other resource in the gardening community for our zone more robust than this. Even if you do know what I'm talking about, this calendar has so much information in it, I really recommend buying it. Now let's get to the seeds. Cool season crops are some of my favorite crops. We have right away broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale. These are all brassicas or cruciferous. Basically, breeders have taken one family of plant and bred out different types of crops from one family. That's broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale. I want to focus on these three because broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower take a really long time. So if you're going to plant something first, if you've only got a certain amount of space in your indoor growing or out in the yard, we're going to do broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower because they take so long to get established. You're going to really want to get those into the ground so they're ready come December when the sun starts coming out and the rains come, they'll be established and ready to go. We've got kale, lettuce, and spinach. If you wanted to wait on these until October, let's just say we were having a really hot September, you don't want to deal with the heat and the bugs that are still out, waiting on these until October is totally fine because they're quick crops. They grow fast and you're not going to have to wait a long time. You could even get harvests before the holidays with these because they grow so fast. So next we've got our root crops, beets, carrots, radishes. Again, this list is not exhaustive, but it takes most of the popular varieties that we sell and that most people grow. But there's other things like there's daikon radishes. But the reason why I want to separate these out from the rest of them are these are some of the only crops in the fall that you are going to direct sow. Now, Brigitte has videos and has talked extensively about being able to actually start root crops in cells and plant them out. It's just not recommended because there's a lot of root damage in the transplant and they don't grow as fast. One thing that is really great about doing that is you can get perfect spacing and save seeds that way. But the reason I want to talk about root crops in September is if you just look around and feel how warm it is, it's really hot, which means there's bugs and these little tiny plants are not going to do well in the heat. So how do we overcome that? Let me show you right now.
Looks like you got a wedding dress.
I know. Okay, so I went up into the attic and got Rachel's old wedding dress to show you how we're going to do root crops in September. Obviously this is not a wedding dress, this is row cover. Now you have seen us talk a lot about shade cloth. This is a little different. Think shade cloth in the summer, row cover in the fall and winter. What is this doing? Several things. You know what, let me just show you a real-time example of how we're going to use this when direct seeding crops in September. Hey Sam, bring me that water. Perfect, thank you sir. Good job. All right, go do whatever your mom tells you to do, okay? Thanks. Okay, so we're out here in an empty row of the garden. I used to have some peppers here. They did their duty, gave us tons of peppers and started to fall over, so we pulled them out. So it's September, it's very hot. You might be able to see some sweat collecting on my face, but we're gonna show you how to do this when it's hot with the row cover. So, you've seen this many times before if you've watched our channel, but I'm gonna get all of the big particulates and chunks of mulch out because these are really small seeds and they're not going to be able to grow through a lot of big chunky pieces of wood. So I'm just going to do a really small section right here just to show. I'm going to take my seeds. With radishes, final spacing is about 2 inches apart. So I'm just going to really roughly just drop them in here. Just like that. And then before I put any dirt on top, I'm going to water these in. Just a seed starting tip, that's one reason why you make a trough, is one, to make a straight line so you know the crops are going to be right on the tube as they grow, but also that trough is going to hold this water in place and not let it run off, so it's going to go right on the seed, right below where the seed is laying, and keep that constant moisture, because we know if you want anything to grow, you're going to have constant moisture. So I mentioned earlier, small seeds like radish seeds don't like big particulates on top of them, so I'm going to take this soil, put a sifter over it, and it is going to catch all of the big pieces, and we're going to have ourselves a nice fluffy bed of soil right on top of those seeds. This soil has been sitting out for a while, so it's pretty hydrophobic, so I'm going to be very gentle when I put this water on here. You can see it's just pooling and running off, but if it sits there long enough, it's going to go through and it's going to really dampen everything. Okay, so that is a quick and dirty 101 how to start seeds. If I were to leave this the way it is, as soon as the seeds pop up, the sun is going to beat on those cotyledons and they're going to just shrivel. I would have to come out here probably 3 or 4 times a day to continue to water this soil to give those little tiny baby hair-like roots enough water to keep the plant alive. Remember, the sun isn't necessarily what's killing the plant, it's a lack of water. So, how do we keep more moisture in it? Let me show you. Okay, so I've got my row cover. If I was really doing this in the garden, I would actually cut it to the right size that I need, but for the process of the video, you can kind of see, you just really need to lay it on top. So I know that radish seeds take anywhere from 2 to 5 days to pop up, so I'm gonna keep an eye on these. I'm gonna check it every couple days. As soon as they pop up, I will put some sort of support over here so I can keep this row cover on it even once the plants start to grow, because I want to use this row cover to keep moisture in, to keep bugs off, and to keep the heat away for long enough for the roots to grow down, really find that water, and to be safe in these hot September temperatures. So now let's talk about onions. There's 2 different types of onions. There's green onions and bulbing onions. And I guess there's kind of one in between, like the gold coin onions, that they're bulbing, but they're really smaller bulbs. Let's talk about bulbing onions right now. We have a whole video about short day versus long day, and how in zone 9 and 10, we always want to be planting short day onions. I want to say one other thing about onions. Here at our garden, we plant all of our onions all at once. We don't do any succession planting. You could if you wanted, but my thought process is if you cure the onions well enough, you're going to have them last for up to a year in a cool, dry place. So I don't mess with trying to plan out the garden space and the succession planting. I do all my onions at once, and you can too. Okay, so finally for September, we've got herbs. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. We've got parsley, cilantro, chives, and arugula, which is technically an herb, although I think of it as a lettuce over here. These you're definitely going to want to start in cells, let them get up to maybe 3-4 inches before you transplant them out. But you are going to want to start them now to give them time to get developed, as we mentioned, fall effect, etc., etc. So the question being, how do you start seeds when it's so hot? We have tons of videos about this. I recommend looking through our channel and in the description for those videos, but I'll just cover it quickly here. There's 2 ways you can do it. 1, start them inside. Get grow lights or use window light in addition to grow lights to grow them in a nice, cool 70-degree house. That is going to be your best bet. The tricky part about that is hardening them off. Eventually you are going to have to bring them out into the heat, but at least you give them a head start in cool temperatures. The other way to do it is just to start them outside. This takes a lot of care and just honestly visiting your plants several times throughout the day. Bridget at her house doesn't have any space to grow things indoors, so she does everything in the shade. A lot of people are like, well, if you do them in the shade, they get leggy. Yes, they do get a little bit leggy, but it's better than frying in the sun. If you were to try to do it in the full sun, that heat beating down on them, you're gonna have to go out and water and take care of them. So we recommend either planting them in the shade outside or starting them inside, and you'll be good to go. All right, for those of you who actually like to take notes, I'm gonna put up everything that we talked about in terms of what to start in September. If you wanna take a screenshot, we're gonna do that right now. If you guys have stayed with the video this long, you are in luck. We're actually going to do a giveaway because we love fall seeds and we want you guys to fall in love with fall vegetables. So let's talk about some of the stuff that we grow in this garden that does super well. I know for a fact because I've done it in Zone 10. The 2 types of broccoli that we always grow are the Waltham 29 and the Steve's Tender Early. These are all heading broccolis, so not only do you get a big head, but they're also going to send out those side shoots at the end of the season, which are always yummy. I love red cabbage. I love making them with tacos. We've got a red acre cabbage. Staying with the cruciferous brassicas, we've got Lucinado kale, or dino kale as it's collectively known, and then also Ethiopian kale. Guys, if you hear kale and you start to cringe, do not at this. This tastes so much different than the bitter kale that you're used to. Definitely give this a try. It will give you so many leaves to eat all throughout the season. Guys, don't go to sleep on radishes. Not a lot of people like them, but when you slice them or grill them or put them on a butter sandwich like my grandma used to, they're super tasty. Crimson Giant, absolute favorite. I also do the purple plum radish just because they're nice and bright and have a cool color. My absolute favorite spinach is this caramel variety. I love it because the leaves just look like spinach. They're really nice and compact. Colibri is also another favorite one that we grow around here. I couldn't find a pack, but we also love lizard spinach because it's got a really cool shaped leaf. If you guys like making stir fries, definitely try out tatsoi. It's not something that I really see in the supermarkets very often, but it's a really fun plant. It's a plant that you grow, it's almost like a cabbage, and it grows up and you cut it all at once. And then when we're talking about lettuces, this marvel of 4 seasons is truly a marvel. I don't know why I said that, but it's one of our favorites. We grow it every single year. The freckles, this one is tricky to grow. I'll give you guys a warning there. Really got to baby this one, plant more than you think. For whatever reason, I don't have good luck with it, but it tastes so good. I try it every year. It's well worth it. And then everyone loves Butter Crunch Bib. Give this a try. You're not going to regret it. Okay, and finally, our favorite herb, probably our favorite thing to grow in the garden, is cilantro. We eat a lot of Mexican style food, we make sauces. It's just an herb that we put on everything, and it is prolific. We let it go to seed and the seeds fly around the yard, and we keep growing it year after year, and you should too. Back to the giveaway. If you want to be entered to win a pack of seeds, a surprise pack of fall seeds, make sure you comment on this video. We're going to choose 3 commenters, and the way that you find out if you won, you definitely have to subscribe to our newsletter because we're going to announce it there, and of course subscribe to the channel because we want you guys to be around for all the new content we're putting out. More than anything, keep enjoying the garden. September, as I said, is one of the best times of the year. It's when you're taking out the old and putting in the new. What am I saying? Can we just end the video? I never know what to say at the end of the video.
The video doesn't end.
We all love gardening. Just get out there and garden. Just go do it.